Okay, let's talk about floods in the USA. We see a lot of flooding going on. We had one in Kentucky that's pretty bad. We had one in Waverly, Tennessee, which is only a couple hours from me, which is pretty bad. And my town has flooded before. Now, I live on a hill, so it'll never happen to me unless the entire town goes under. And I'm going to need Noah's Ark. But I want to show you something. I want to demonstrate why we keep hearing about floodings, okay? And it never comes to an end. It really doesn't. And one of my buddies actually made out like a bandit, too. So, I'm going to take you down to an area that floods almost yearly. Now, this place floods, and you can't drive down this road when it floods. It'll flood at the end. Now, what you're seeing right now is an open field that drops down a good 10 or 15 feet. That entire field will flood every year, sometimes twice a year. Now, every now and then, we'll get what's called record flooding, where it actually not only floods past the field, but it goes over the road. So the entire field floods. And then that goes over the 10 foot or whatever. And then it goes into the other houses that live basically in a flood zone. Everybody waves to everybody down here, by the way, when you're in a small town. The river you're looking at on my left as I travel along here, if you can see it, is called the Tennessee River. It's actually pretty high. And everybody comes down here. This is right in town. Everybody comes down here to put their boat in and go fishing. Is what they do down here. Bouncing all over the place. Sorry about that, guys. Now, I'm going to go down here off the beaten path. And this is kind of interesting. This is new for this year. And I'll go down to the end and then I'll come back and I'll shoot it so you can actually see it. Somebody bought this land. They put these lots in here, tiny lots, adds some electrical poles, and they said, hey, great place to put a trailer or to put in a cabin, basically whatever you like. And I want to show you, and they paid a lot of money for these. I mean, we're talking $50,000 plus just for the land is what they ended up paying. And I was pretty surprised, which I was kind of shocked. Notice the ladder that goes up to the power pole. That's because we flood over here in this area. See? Shooting the ladder. Yeah. So the power guy actually has to climb that ladder to check out what the bill is. Now these trailers they put down here temporarily, okay? They don't put them down here all year, because if they did, they would be flooded out in the spring. You can't have anything like that down here, it'll flood. So somebody sold these lots at $50,000 a piece. These people bought it saying, look at that, we got river access. This is awesome. I don't know what this guy's got built there, but it's obviously going to be flooded out in spring. This guy put some half-assed building. I hope it can take water and flood out with a tiny trailer. But you'll notice these other lots that I'm showing you have nothing here. They're sold. There's nothing for sale down here. These are all sold out. And they know better than to have their trailers down here, or else they'll end up losing them. They're probably paying rent at one of those places in town where they can put their trailers, and then when they come down, pick them up, bring them in here and park them. Is what they're doing. I can't believe, I think some of these lots went for like 80 grand. And I was just like, you people are nuts. You can't do anything with it. You can't put a house on it. I mean, now if you put a house on stilts, you might be into something then. And we do have those too. We do have houses on stilts here. Now, let me make a right here and take you down to the dock. Somebody's parked down here. A couple people. Down here on my left is, those are big bumps. There's a dock down here. And it goes down in the Tennessee River where you can drop your boat if you've got a boat. So that's kind of nice. So a lot of people come down here with their boats and drop their boats off. Is what they do. And they're all laughing because my truck has a zombie response team on it. They obviously need to get down here and scrape this road a little bit because it's pretty bouncy. But this entire road that I'm traveling down and those campsites that I just exited from will flood out every year. This entire area. This road's gone, the farm field is gone, and that's the end of it. So, what about flooding? Flooding in the U.S. How does this affect anything? It's a history repeats itself. It never goes away. You know, we see some devastating flooded city and we think, oh my God, those poor people. And then they're all asking for money, food, and I'm not saying they don't need it. But I'm saying if you go back in history and actually search Google and start searching for these particular areas, you're going to see that they flooded 10 years before that or 20 years before that. And the cities have done nothing to prevent it. They don't put a wall up. They don't put nothing. They don't put anything at all. It's just pure stupidity. And if you can see through my window at the farm field over there, that completely floods every year in the spring, sometimes 2 or 3 times. That whole area, all of it that you're seeing, it's in a hole. But when we get those biblical floods that happen, it comes over the road, is what it does. And the scary part about that is, well, then it comes into the houses. So it goes over the road and it comes into this street here. This house on my left that you're going to see as I'm driving by has been flooded 4 times. They have to gut it, redo it. They don't move. I don't get it. Okay? All these houses you're seeing have been flooded out. You'd think if it was me and you had some common sense, I mean, once everybody forgets about it, right? Put a for sale sign on it and get out. Because this will flood again in another 10, 20 years, who knows when, but it will. And all these houses will be either halfway up underwater or completely underwater. It's happened already. And then you will see them on the news saying, oh my God, it's horrible. Please send us food. Please send us clothes. And that's what's going to go on. Every one of these houses will be underwater. And I was like, that's wow. Now this brick house here, right here on my left, was flooded originally. And a contractor friend of mine bought it for $20,000. The guy said, you want it? Take it for $20,000. I want to get rid of it. So he did. He bought it for $20,000. He redid the inside. And he actually found somebody to buy it with no credit check, no nothing. Here you go. And he sold the house to him for, I think it was $90,000. and somebody bought it and they're making payments on it, just like owing a bank, except they pay him direct. So he's making bank. Too bad that I didn't find out about that deal. But you got to be out there. Like, he was a contractor. He was out meeting people. And, you know, he knew the guy, so he happened to run into him. And, you know, you got to be out there talking with people is what you got to do. But all these houses you're seeing on my left get flooded. On the right is an old folks home. That was flooded too when we had the biblical flood of the century here. But none of these people moved. Maybe they have flood insurance. I'm not sure about that. I know flood insurance is very expensive. When you live in a flood zone like they do, it gets very expensive. So unless they got the money to pay for flood insurance, maybe they're doing that. You know, and they get their house all re-renovated for free again by paying flood insurance, if you call it that. But it's something to think about, because to me, the city should be actually doing something in the way of, why not put a wall up? Why not? Because they could do that. They could put a wall all the way down that farmer's field that would prevent that water coming in, or some type of reservoir, which would redirect the water in case of a flood. But they don't. So, basically, you're going to get them flooded again. So it never stops. It's almost like the fires in California. It's like every year you hear the same thing. Oh, this place is on fire. That place is on fire. And it's never-ending disasters that happen here in the USA. I guess the contractors are making them a killing, is what it's doing. And it's just the way it is. Now, when we get tornadoes, you can't predict those. Those kind of drop anywhere. But you'd think after a couple times of them flooding that something would be done about it. You know, they would fix it or something. But those houses will be flooded again. And that won't change. Which makes no sense to me. To me, common sense is either condemn the houses and pay them what they're worth and get them out of the area, install a wall, a reservoir, install something that helps protect the buildings, but obviously they don't. And we're building something back there, and I don't know what it is yet. So something to think about when we see flooding in the U.S., even in Waverly, Tennessee, where we had that big flood. They haven't done nothing down there either. You know, some houses have been condemned, obviously, or they've been moved off their foundations, but they have rebuilt. There are some houses down there they've rebuilt from scratch, only to be flooded out again. I don't understand it. None of it makes sense to me. It's almost like we believe we can build again, and it's never going to happen again. Don't worry, it's not going to flood. Just really, really, really weird. I never even thought about that when I actually bought my house. It didn't even enter my mind when I bought it. I'm so glad that I accidentally bought my house on a hill, because this town has flooded a couple times and I couldn't get out. All ways were blocked when I went to leave my house. I had to put the canoe in and go. But my house has never been flooded because it does hit on a hill. So if you're moving to Tennessee, or actually anywhere in town, I would suggest you guys pick yourself up a house that's on a hill, and not someplace that sits down in a gully where the odds of you being flooded are going to happen to you. So there's my views on flooding. What do you guys think? Isn't it kind of weird that they keep rebuilding over and over? It seems kind of stupid to me. And hey, to each their own. I'll catch you guys on the next one.